All right, today we're not just talking stats and records. No, we're telling a story. It's an epic, really a cinematic journey about a hero's quest for immortality. And the whole thing, the entire story, hinges on one single question. You know the one. It is the most debated question in all of sports, isn't it? It has split families, ended friendships, and it sits right at the very heart of this story. And you know what? We're just going to go ahead and answer it right now. Because after a career that has pushed the absolute limits of what we thought was humanly possible, there really is only one answer. But the story of how he got there, well, that's everything. So where does a story like this even begin? Well, like any good epic, it starts with a prophecy, with the arrival of a kid so gifted, so unbelievably special, that the entire world just had to stop and watch. Everyone knew they were seeing the start of something legendary. Those were the actual words from the commentator on that day. And it wasn't just a goal, you see. It was an announcement to the world. A 17-year-old kid was already playing a completely different game from everyone else on the field. The prophecy was being written right there, in real time. And from that prophecy, a king didn't just emerge, a god-king took his throne. For more than a decade at Barcelona, Messi wasn't simply the best player in the world, he was something else entirely, a force of nature, a true god of the game, ruling his kingdom. Just listen to that. You are dead. That's not a teammate hyping him up. That is a confession from an opponent. You have the world's best defenders flat out admitting that against him, they weren't just outmatched, they were completely and utterly helpless. He was a problem that had no solution. You know, it got to a point where regular words just didn't cut it anymore. Commentators, coaches, even the guys playing against him, they had to invent a whole new vocabulary just to try and explain what they were seeing. They weren't describing an athlete. They were trying to describe a phenomenon, something that felt like it didn't belong on the same planet as the rest of us. And his genius wasn't just about scoring goals. It was in his movement, his balance, his insane ability to change direction at top speed with the ball basically glued to his foot. It felt like he was actively teasing the laws of physics. It's like his center of gravity was somewhere underground. You just couldn't knock him over. But here's the thing. Every great hero, every epic story has a tragic flaw, right? A kryptonite. And for the God King of Barcelona, his tragedy was deeply, deeply human. It was his agonizing, heartbreaking journey with his country, with Argentina. I mean, just look at this timeline of pain. It was relentless. 3 years in a row, 3 massive finals, 3 absolutely devastating losses. Can you imagine getting that close for your country over and over and over again, only to have it ripped away? The weight on his shoulders must have been almost unbearable. And of course, with that kind of heartbreak, the critics came out in full force. It was harsh, it was relentless. The narrative started to shift. Was he only great because he had all those amazing teammates at Barcelona? Could he really be the greatest of all time if he couldn't get it done for his own country? This became the central conflict of his entire legacy. So you had these two completely different stories running side by side. In Barcelona, he was a deity, untouchable. But for Argentina, he was a mortal man, struggling under the crushing weight of an entire nation's expectations. The contrast was just huge. And it all led to one question. Could he ever bring those two worlds together? And that, right there, sets the stage for the final act, the last dance. One last desperate shot at conquering his demons, at silencing all the doubters, and at claiming the one prize that would finally grant him footballing immortality. And it started right here, the first crack in the dam. After all those years of failure and pain, he finally led Argentina to a major trophy. You could just see the raw emotion, the pure relief. The curse was broken. That massive weight was lifted. And it set the stage for one last, almost impossible dream. And with that weight gone, something was unleashed. During the 2022 World Cup, he was just on another level. I mean, take this pass against the Netherlands. It was a moment of pure, unfiltered genius. It's a pass that literally no one else on the planet could have even seen, let alone actually pull off in the middle of a World Cup quarterfinal. So how on earth does he do that? It's not just skill, it's like he's seeing the future. He pulls defenders towards him like a magnet, knowing it's going to open up a tiny window of space that doesn't even exist yet. And then, without even looking, he plays the ball into that exact future space. It's like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. So it all came down to this. One final game. One final trophy to complete the entire story. The one prize that had haunted his whole career. The World Cup. And then, this moment. In what might just be the single greatest World Cup final ever played, he did it. The hero completed his quest. And that line from the commentator Peter Drury, Lionel Messi has shaken hands with paradise. I mean, come on. It just says it all, doesn't it? The struggle, the heartbreak, the long, long journey. It all led to this one perfect moment of triumph. He had won everything. He had answered every single question. He had silenced every last critic. The boy from the prophecy became the God King. He survived the tragedy, and in the end, he achieved immortality. The debate was over. Done. But it does leave us with one last thought, doesn't it? Now that the journey's complete and the title is secure, what will we remember the most? Is it the list of trophies? Or is it the moments of impossible genius? The sheer, unrepeatable joy he gave to every single one of us who was lucky enough to watch him play? Now that perhaps is a question with more than one right answer.